Good to be here. My job today is to look at really my philosophy, which is you have to look at the historical context to kind of get an idea of where this AI thing is going. So, and where the jobs are going to come from. Nitesh, thank you for bringing up we don't know what the future jobs look like because they don't exist yet. We cover that here. If you look at the major innovation milestones, I'm not going to go through all this in detail over 10 minutes, but I will time myself so I don't get carried away. So 1436, the printing press is invented. Everybody says, well, that's fantastic, and it was. But it also led to a number of power shifts in politics and in religious circles worldwide. So you could print Bibles, but you could also print witch hunting manuals. And after the printing press was invented, we had 200 years of religious strife in Europe, conflict in Europe. Let's accelerate to 1880. This is like the most innovative period in human history, the 50 years between 1880 and 1930. We got the electricity in a light bulb. Carl Benz invented the automobile in 1885. We got the radio in 1895. We got the assembly line, which was really the invention of modern manufacturing in 1913. And the Model T price fell to $260 in 1925. And then we got broadcast TV in 1930. And in that, we also got refrigeration. In 1930, nobody's complaining and nobody's worried about all this innovation that's being sprung upon us, much like the AI revolution now. So I think, we're in 2026. I think we're kind of like in 1882, 1883. We're in the very early process of this evolution. What does that mean? What do all these things have in common, all these events? And the answer is they all led to more better paying jobs and more prosperity than existed before. And I'll repeat that. All these innovations led to more better paying jobs and more prosperity that existed before. Yes, jobs were destroyed, but more opportunities were created. And if the companies that existed didn't grab a hold of those, then entrepreneurs came through and did it for them. So if we can get some clues, I need to actually move my panel to the top there, if I can. And then we were at ChatGPT in 2022, and then we have some sort of future of AI innovation that's going to come in the future that hasn't been invented yet, but it's being explored by very smart and now very wealthy people from Silicon Valley to Austin, Texas, to China, to India, and all over the place. This is an example of what can happen in 13 years. This is Easter Sunday in New York City. The photo on the left is 1900. The photo on the right is 1913. On the left, all horse and carriages, no exceptions. There's no cars on the road. There's no automobiles on the road. And 13 years later, on Easter Sunday, on the right, on Fifth Avenue, is all automobiles and one horse and carriage. And I call that the Uber driver of the time. That's the Uber of the. Sorry, I think that was pretty funny. So that's how quickly things can change. And it's happening now, but it's going to happen faster than 13 years. That's for sure. And we talk about where the jobs are going to come from. And I put them into three categories. As I say, new innovations always destroy jobs, but many, many more higher paying opportunities are created. First on the left, these are the AI jobs we already know are happening. These are the jobs that are being created today in data centers and AI research and startups all over the world. And AI agent orchestration. This is a really, really important one for BPOs because I'll get to this near the very end. So basically, you have a project manager and they work with 6 team members to accomplish some sort of process or some sort of task. What the AI agent or orchestrator can do is actually, as a human being, manage those 6 agents to get the job done. Now, this is going to be very hard for corporations to do, and I believe very strongly that that BPOs have an advantage because they can be more nimble and more innovative than corporations can. I'm sure Nitesh agrees with me. An example of how this flow goes. The executive board and the leadership has to understand what the AI opportunities are and what the strategy is, and then they need to get the teams to adopt it throughout the organization. Imagine you have 100,000 people. You need to identify data sources that are hidden in systems that may be disparate and maybe from different companies that were acquired through acquisitions. Then you need to remap processes for the AI age. Rapid iteration loops is something we can talk about. And then we need to educate and upskill our workforce to accomplish all this stuff. And then, that is for a big company, in a highly regulated industry, especially parastatals, especially government agencies, especially. This is going to be really, really, really tough. And I think that's the opportunity for BPOs. And I have some numbers that'll come through that I'll address just now, but I'll finish this slide for now. Human oversight jobs. This is Monisha's wheelhouse. She'll talk about the EUAI Act and the importance of human oversight, or human in the loop is super important. My daughter, I put her in school in London, in university in London in September. She's studying biomedical science, the first example here. So you think, okay, they're the researchers and their oversights, and we can accelerate drug discovery and treatments and longevity and all that kind of stuff. But what are they really going to do? Because you still need large scale clinical trials. They're going to go back 60 years and examine all those large scale clinical trials and re-examine the data, find the biases, find the mistakes, find the corruption, and actually draw new conclusions that can actually speed up drug discovery, treatments, and all that kind of stuff. I think very soon that one category will create 1,000x more jobs than practitioners today. In fact, in the United States, Carrie, I'm sorry, Cecilia, we've run out of medical researchers, right? Because they all been taken into big tech, Google and Facebook and Amazon and all those guys. And that's a very, very big deal, because tens of thousands of people are going in and out of these New York City hospitals and LA hospitals. Nobody knows what they're in there for. Nobody's tracking that data. So these are all opportunities. These are human oversight jobs that'll grow by the literally, like, I think 100x, 1,000x. It's a really, really big category. And we have got governance and policy. Manisha's going to examine that. We did a Henley Business School program, Henley out of London, and they of our 29 mostly bankers, none of them had jobs like I have: sales, marketing, strategy, customer service, contact center. They were risk management, they were compliance, they were cybersecurity. There were those kinds of jobs. And those are the things that's going to grow substantially. And the third one, there's always more demand and supply for cybersecurity experts, because in the AI world, this is really cybersecurity, and with the new attack vectors and stuff, has become a huge issue. And then, of course, there's a category on the right: jobs stuff we don't know yet, stuff we can't imagine. We go back to the automobile era. Automobiles are invented. Now we have the Model T coming off the line. You can have it in any color you want, as long as it's black. I don't live in a rich area, but two kilometers from here, I have 3 supercar dealerships. 3. And imagine the infrastructure around that, with all the repairs and all the transportation and all the security, and of course, a $500,000 car right over there. And those are things that we couldn't imagine when Henry Ford rolled out the Model T and the assembly line. So there'll be new industries that we can't imagine. There's unforeseen roles. Nitesh, thank you for covering that. Unforeseen roles within the new industries, and future innovations are things that we can't imagine. Elon Musk says that we will have a data center in space by the end of next year. And he tends to exaggerate a little bit on the timelines, but he always gets it right. I can't think of a single example of where he's been wrong. Let's skip this one. This is just an interesting little stat I think Nitesh will enjoy. These are the enterprise AI market share numbers. Claude is by far the leader, and this is growing fast. I mean, if this data is 3 months old, it's probably out of date. So Claude and Anthropic are at 32%. ChatGPT is 25% and falling. Gemini is 20% and growing. Llama's Meta, and Cohere is an interesting one, because one of my new clients, a bank, has actually adopted Cohere, which I never heard of, as their enterprise grade internal large language model. I need to move you guys again, sorry. This is a human oversight thing, Manisha, you'd be interested in, and I'll send you the slide. So we have tasks of lower risk, like drafting and ideation, where you need lower or no human intervention. But then we get into higher risk stuff, like public or client-facing materials, sensitive topics, HR data, financial medical consent, then we need higher levels of human oversight. And then this is how we get across use cases. But this is the last slide here. What does the BPO market look like? According to Anderson Horowitz, top right, $300 billion business or industry in 2024. On that, they project it'll grow to $525 billion in 2030. Mark Anderson is known to be an optimist, but I think these numbers are real. I think the opportunity for growth within the BPO sector is enormous because the corporations will find it very, very difficult to adopt AI internally within their organizations. And from that, I'll pass it back to Carrie, and thank you for listening.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you very much.
I'm waiting for applause.
Everyone's muted. I'll applaud you. Thank you very much, Greg. Brilliant. Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, I will come down and we'll talk more about not just the change of roles, but how we actually upskill people to be capable to take these roles if they're already in position. So that's going to be one of the questions I want you to be thinking on, that I'll definitely be asking you on the panel. Right, now